I think what they're doing is brilliant. I think it's really brilliant. They're trying to cheat. And this is what's amazing. Before we get to why I think it's brilliant, just unpack this in your mind for a moment. Nobody, and a bunch of people have made this point, so I don't want to act like this is original. No one has been able to track down a single person in America, country of 330 million people, if you don't count the illegals. No one's been able to track down a single person in this country who can't vote. So this voting rights thing is not a thing. People already have the right to vote. Everyone can vote. It's not a problem at all. What they're doing with the voting rights thing is a gigantic let us cheat bill. There's not another way to look at it. And you don't have to be a card-carrying Republican or anti-communist like me or anything to think like that. Anyone with a brain looks at that and thinks, okay, everyone has the right to vote. A voting rights bill? And then you look at it, it's just a gigantic bill to let Democrats cheat. That's it. So we have two major parties in this country, and one of the two major parties is announcing publicly their intention to pass a bill that will let them cheat so they don't lose elections. And the media helps them do it. We'll get to that in a little bit. But isn't that a stunning state of affairs for what's supposed to be a modern, civilized country? If this was taking place in Yemen, if this was Yemen right now, and you found out there were two political parties, and the one in charge, they're trying to pass a law that lets them cheat and stay in charge, you would look to your wife or husband and say, can you believe those backwater hicks? They're not civilized over there. Look at how corrupt it is. It's taking place right here. And it's not even treated as a big scandal or a big deal. The Democrats have a cheating bill in there. All right, now that's enough of that for now. Let me tell you why I think it's brilliant. It's brilliant. One, it's probably not going to pass. But best case for Democrats is, let's say they manage to strangle Joe Manchin in the dark or something. Best case for Democrats is it does pass. Then you don't get crushed in the midterms. All right, life's good. You get to cheat your way to a bunch of election wins. I'm sure you may never lose another election. So that's best case. But everyone's yelling at the TV right now, rightfully so. But Jesse, it's not going to pass, so it's stupid. Hold on, you're half right. No, it's not going to pass. Obviously, they're not going to get the filibuster thing done. Sinema and Manchin, you're never going to get them on board with that ever at all. It's still brilliant, though. They don't have a lot of cards to play. If you're the Democratic Party right now, the Biden administration, National Democrats, you see the poll numbers. That's all these nerds do is look at poll numbers. Well, how are we polling with the win? That's all they do. They know they don't have a lot of cards to play. They also know they don't have the same percentage of the black vote right now that they've had. Now, don't get me wrong. They have a huge percentage of it. Last number I saw was in the 70s. The 70s is not good enough for Democrats to win elections. They break everything down. Nothing is personal. Nothing is caring. They break everything down demographically now. The Republican Party does this too. I've always thought it was disgusting, but this is how it's done. They do sit down and they'll say, okay, we need this percentage of men. We'll automatically get that percentage of women. What kind of gay support are we going to get? How about the blacks? How many blacks? Hispanics? Do we have the Hispanic numbers yet? Well, if we lose this many Hispanics, we have to get that many. That's how they talk. That's how they talk. They're looking at the polls. 70-some percentage of black people voting for Democrats is not going to cut it. That number needs to be close to 90. So if you don't have any other cards to play, and they don't have any other cards to play, there's no other bill they can get through, isn't it kind of brilliant to just pick one demographic, one of the various parts of their voting base, and just try to grab as many of those as possible? This is all the polling decision. They sat down, looked at the demographics, and said, okay, well, let's try to avoid the losses being bad as we think they are. Let's call it voting rights, and then we'll do this will last a month or two, I would guess, maybe less, but they'll do some massive appeal to black people. They'll call it, just like Joe Biden's been calling it, Jim Crow 2.0 and voting rights, and they'll act as if they're civil rights leaders. How effective will that be? I don't know. I don't know. They think it'll be somewhat effective. I think it's brilliant. Is it going to work? Is it going to save the House in the midterms? Of course not. They're not in a place where they can save the House in the midterms. But it might make the bleeding less severe, and that's worth something. Hey, thanks so much for watching the first on YouTube. If you liked what you saw, go ahead and like and subscribe. You heard me. Like it, subscribe. You'll get a lot more of it and a lot more of me.